in the 1970s, there was a premier in the Soviet Union named Brezhnev. At some point, everybody could tell that he had dementia. Rather, he had a stroke, but I think he had, honestly, I think he had what's called vascular dementia, which is what people have after they have a stroke. He had a stroke. He had a lisp after that, right? There's even a joke that I made on Shabbat, and everybody laughed. People who were Russian speakers, even young ones. You know, he was giving a speech one time, and he was trying to say, I'm going to say it in Russian, but he was trying to say socialist countries, социалистические страны. But it came out sounding like сосиски сраные. You know, S-H-I-T-T-Y, sausages. Okay? Or hot dogs, you know? And it became a joke all across the Soviet Union, my friends. It became like the running joke until this day. And people, by the way, people from all over the former Soviet Union, former Soviet republics, they all know this joke. They all know this, the comment that became basically a meme, but like a verbal meme. Had they had memes at that time, it would have been a meme, right? You would have seen Brezhnev's face, and then you say "Сосиски сраные." Everybody knows. Like, we have friends from, we're from Ukraine. We have friends from, like, who grew up in Kazakhstan, or grew up in, like, what was Kazakhstan, what is Kazakhstan today, or friends from, like, Riga, Latvia, friends from I don't know, Moldova, friends from Moscow, obviously. Everybody knows what "Sosiski Sranye" is. Oh yeah, Brezhnev, He was giving a speech. He had you couldn't understand him, my friends. So the difference is, in the Soviet Union, everybody knew, everybody understood what was going on, and there's nothing they could do about it, right? Dafka was not a democracy. Dafka was not a, supposedly a free country. It was not. Everybody knew where they lived, what they lived in, or most people did, unless they were under an illusion. Some people were, but most people were not. And okay, they just accepted it, and it became like humor. You had to, if you guys remember Reagan, he would say, like, listen, the people of the Soviet Union are great people because in order to withstand what they're living through, they have to develop a sense of humor. They have to develop jokes, a culture of jokes, a culture of comedy, underground, right? In their homes, as my parents like to say, s figой в кармане. Like you're sitting with a middle finger in your pocket, because that's what you want to show the government, but you can't. You got to put it in your pocket, right? As you tell the joke at your table inside your house, which hopefully is not, bugged, right? So, my friends, but here in America, it's like, you understand, any person with a discerning eye can understand what is the truth, right? Unless they're a complete partisan hack, which people I've met, right? Which some people are. Even people, by the way, who grew up in the Soviet Union and came to America and still believe that Biden is a healthy person, and believe this gaslighting. My friends, these people that are gaslighting us right now, that actually have gaslit us for the past 5 years, they are Bolsheviks, Marxists, who have committed a very, very high crime, which is constituted as treason, for which the penalty is, I don't want to say what. Like, honestly, for this, folks, we should be storming the Bastille. Not the White House, not the person currently in the White House. I'm talking about, by storming the Bastille, I mean we should be asking for severe punishment for anybody who covered this up. Folks, do we even need an investigation? People asking for an investigation. What? Investigate what? It was in front of our face for 5 years, for 4 years, folks. We were duly gaslit, like properly and thoroughly. Gaslit, like to our face, folks. This is beyond Soviet. It's beyond. Because in the Soviet Union, again, everybody knew, everybody admitted, everybody could admit it to each other, the citizens. And there's nothing they could do. Here, half the people are like, oh yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with him, just because of their party affiliation. Folks, that's worse, right? Don't you think that's worse than the entire country knowing and not be able to do anything because of the government and nobody has guns. It's just the military versus you, right? Or the KGB versus you, or whatever, right? Some regime. Folks, here it's like a mass hypnosis, mass psychosis, mass hypnosis. I don't know what. And then the people who do know, who have known, are so docile and so afraid to move a muscle, my friends, or demoralized. The whole society has been demoralized, right? As Yuri Bezmenov spoke about, the what is it? The multiple stages of demoralization, right? Even we are demoralized. The people who understand what's going on, my friends. I would wager, I would put forth that this is worse than the Soviet Union in a way. What we're experiencing right now with this, what we've been experiencing with the Biden thing, and what we're, now the so to speak, cherry on top. In Russian we call it korony nomer. Putting the crown on the head of the situation. The crescendo of it, which is this absolute gaslighting and telling us they didn't know. There's no way to test this. He was old. Blah 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 blah. This and that. Oh, it's late stages. You didn't know. My friends, I mean, there's a lot of bridges being sold in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? And a lot of people seem to be buying it. You and I are not buying it. The people who are watching this video are not buying it, and other videos like this. But my friends, take it from the former Soviet citizen. Again, even when I was a kid, my parents went through it. I mean, this is who they are. They are Bolsheviks, and they will stop at nothing. They're the ends justify the means, because they decided that this orange man he's the dictator, he's the whatever, evil person, and anybody who supports them is evil or stupid or misguided, and they decided we can't go around just doing what the Soviet Union did, so now we're gonna lie to your face. We're gonna install who we're gonna install. It doesn't matter if he's made of wood, if he can't walk, if he can't form a sentence. Again, the ends justify the means for these people. And if you call us out and say, this is what we did, no, listen, we did it for the good of the country, to save democracy, right? It's to save democracy. So we're gonna continue gaslighting you until however long we need to, and we're gonna send out the troops to give all kinds of justifications and whatever lines. Scripts, read all kinds of scripts prepared, and lob softball questions to doctors and whatever it is. My friends, Soviet Union, the United States of Soviet America. Welcome, welcome. All right, guys, talk to you soon.